With so many different lost media topics that exist in the community, it's fun going to the forums or checking out the Discord server and seeing what the feeling is for what people want to find, and how much time they'll spend looking for or supporting a search. This is especially interesting for years-long searches that can sometimes lose interest or support over the years. And last year, I actually asked my Twitter community directly what topics they most wanted to find. The results were pretty interesting back then. That list included Conker's 12 Tales at number 4, the Paper Mario 3DS trailer at 3, Earthbound 64 at 2, and the Sonic Tokyo Toy Show prototype at number 1, with Phantom Blood and Saki Sonobashi getting an honorable mention. I was really interested in seeing if this list had changed at all from last year, so I asked everyone again and got a lot of replies. I went through them all and counted the most popular ones to create a list that will inform us about what the most wanted pieces of lost media are in 2023. For the first segment of this video, we'll actually be covering two different topics because they came in at a tie for number 5 in the list. Interestingly, these are both relatively new searches that I haven't talked about before or followed much since they first appeared, so it'll be fun to discuss them with my viewers now, especially to those of you that really wanted to see them found. The first of these two topics is the now classic search for the origin behind the image of Jeff the Killer from the creepypasta. For those of you who are unaware of what this search even is, there's a new trend online that attempts to find the origin of popular meme and creepypasta images, and finding the original, unedited picture of what Jeff the Killer really is has become quite a task. It first gained popularity in Blame It on Jorge's video, and a search quickly developed surrounding it, with many leads and details having been uncovered since then. Prior to the well-known image of Jeff the Killer having been circulated, there existed an earlier version of the photo whose first known appearance online was in July 2005 on a Japanese media sharing site. There were comments on this photo at the time that some users claimed to have seen the image on other websites, meaning that there could have been an even earlier use of it. This one continued to spread online throughout 2005, but then in mid-November of the same year, the second and more famous iteration also made its first appearance, this time on a media sharing website called pia.cc by user Omegavolt. Currently, it's not known who the person is in the original unedited image, or where that original photo can even be found. It's still lost. With some popular theories mentioning that it was a screenshot from a video call that made its way to 4chan, where users participated in making the original photo appear less and less attractive, resulting in what we have now. But this is not confirmed, as it's also been mentioned that the original photo came from a Japanese video of a middle-aged woman, since those first edits of it originated from Japan. And a third theory had been discussed but since debunked, that mentioned the original photo came from a user's sister that had since passed away, and this was taken shortly before it happened. However, the woman's name that was claimed to be linked to the photo is still alive, and she claims to have nothing to do with Jeff the Killer at all. The search continues for the origins of this image, and even though I'm not a fan of creepypastas or internet mysteries in general, I can definitely see the appeal behind tracking this one down, with it being so iconic online. The second topic for this segment that I want to cover is quite the opposite of Jeff the Killer, and discusses a lost song. Possibly one of the most popular lost songs since the famous Most Mysterious song. And that's the search for Everyone Knows That, also known as Ulterior Motives. This search dates back to October 2021, when user Carl92 made a post on the website What's That Song, asking what the origins of a song were that they only had a short clip to. The story goes is that this clip originated from a DVD that Carl found from back in 1999, when they were practicing recording various media. The song clip is only 17 seconds long, believed to have been made in the 80s, and was recorded from a TV by studying the frequency of the song. This omits any possibility that it may have been recorded from the radio, but the song clip itself has spread to dozens of different social media sites and reposted to YouTube, helping to increase the reach of someone that might know where it came from. However, the search has apparently been very messy, according to a post by Bubblecat on the Lost Media subreddit, with many people claiming to be OP to troll the search and get the original post taken down. On top of the fact that OP Carl has apparently lost interest in the search themselves. One of the current beliefs, based on the evidence gathered, is that the song originated from a different country, one that was possibly airing MTV on TV before the early 2000s, though this is not completely confirmed. Another post from Reddit mentioned it could be a famous singer that did a song for a commercial in a different country, which would line up with the theory that it's international. It seems like currently, this search has hit a bit of a dead end, for the fact that the topic is so old, but any new leads would be helpful right now. It should also be noted that the pink radio associated with the song isn't actually related to it. It was just used in one of the first YouTube uploads of it, apparently coming from a listing on the website Depop. Here's a topic I'm surprised to still see on this list, as it hasn't really been brought up since the last time I talked about it. But let's revisit the Paper Mario Sticker Star E3 2010 trailer. Originally, when I came across this topic, I wasn't that interested in it until I looked closer at it, and actually found that it's a pretty cool search. It's too bad there hasn't been a lot of progress with this one though. Paper Mario Sticker Star released on the 3DS to pretty poor reviews, for straying too far from the Paper Mario formula that fans enjoy. But originally, the game was supposed to look much closer to the old style, and this trailer shows that. This trailer in particular is quite special not only for the fact that it gives us that earlier look at the game, but also for the fact that the trailer itself was exclusive to 3DS units at E3 2010. You had to be there, physically holding one of these 3DS consoles to actually watch it, and that's largely the reason why it's still lost. It was never re-uploaded online afterwards. Now that's not to say we have no content from it available, as the one clip that's circulated online is in good enough quality where we can kinda see what's going on, but this is incomplete, with only about 14 seconds of video having been saved. The entire trailer is believed to be between 1 and 2 minutes long, so there's still a lot missing. Nintendo World Report is the only website to have even saved this footage at all, while the original beta song and plenty of screenshots from the trailer have been re-uploaded. The only theory we had before about where more content could have been was in Nintendo World Report's earlier posts about the game from E3 2010, which have since been deleted. It was believed that at one point, they had more content available or a longer clip, but now this actually seems unlikely, as discussed in one of the only major updates to the search since I last covered it. Reese, who had been following this search for quite a while, confirmed with a Nintendo World Report user that the audio from the trailer was recorded at the event with the headphone jack of the 3DS, suggesting that the website never had its own press copy of the trailer. However, it's still possible that there were some other gaming websites that did receive the trailer, without anyone having known about it or seeing it while it was up. But this is only speculation, and we'd need some concrete claims stating what website and when the trailer would have been up. Either way, there is no evidence to suggest that a copy is currently hiding anywhere online, and only further searching through the gaming press rabbit hole will likely result in this one ever resurfacing, similar to how the original trailer of Luigi's Mansion from Space World 2000 showed up again. Coming in at number 3, this spot was again tied for 2 different topics, although for one of them there isn't really too much to say about it, but we'll save that one for second. Firstly is a topic I'm really happy to see on this list, because it's SpongeBob related, and you guys know how much I like SpongeBob Lost Media. It's nice to see others taking an interest in bigger topics from the series, like this one, the uncensored version of Sailor Mouth. It's interesting because I felt like I had heard about this one occasionally before I made my video covering it, and now it seems to be talked about all the time. Uncensored Sailor Mouth refers to an episode of the cartoon where SpongeBob finds a bad word written on the dumpster and says it throughout the episode. In the final version, this word is replaced with a dolphin sound effect as a joke, but during the recording of it, the voice actors were actually swearing in character. Nickelodeon originally told the cast to make up fake swear words while they were recording, but it proved too difficult to ad-lib that on the spot. So they were given permission to really let out swears, and that's what was originally recorded. Tom Kenny has confirmed many times that this was a recording they had for the episode, and that Nickelodeon probably buried it at the center of the earth, so no one would ever hear it, because that would technically make it canon that SpongeBob and his friends swore on the show. The voice cast of SpongeBob can be heard swearing on other occasions, and there are a lot of tools that can be used to recreate them swearing, but but I think it's the story and intrigue behind the official version that people really want, and not a recreation. Unsurprisingly, this is something that only Nickelodeon has, and only they or someone at the company would be able to find it and release it. Though Tom Kenny has expressed his interest in getting it released before, but it's unlikely that any official version will come out without someone leaking it on their own. The second topic that was tied in this spot is a search that does still get brought up pretty often, probably for the fact that it's still going, but hasn't had any big developments in a while. This one is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood, a search that has been discussed even in the years following the movie's release back in 2007, but has slowly become increasingly difficult with more leads that end up hitting dead ends. Recently, there was a rumor that a bootleg recording had been shared on WinMX, a file-sharing website, but I have not received any word of that resurfacing since then, or new leads having been discussed even regarding it. I would like to take a closer look at what exactly the search has been like for the past couple years in another video, but I was informed by veteran searcher LiquidX recently that a lot has been happening behind the scenes, including some highlights that mention Studio A3P, the company that made the film, can no longer be contacted at all as a result of the company having entered liquidation, and that the Japanese government actually had a hand in shelving the film to begin with. While LiquidX said that Shueisha still holds the rights to the film, it's these factors that make its release increasingly difficult and unlikely at the rate things have been progressing. I'm worried we're slowly entering a point where there won't be anything else we can do, and we'll have to be in the same boat as something like Slamfest, where we're going to have to wait for it to randomly appear one day when everyone least expects it. I'm holding out hope that we can get some kind of bootleg recording sooner than later, but it's not looking great. Speaking of Slamfest, the next topic, number 2, is one that I'm not surprised to see on this list at all, and I was kind of expecting it to be pretty high anyway. Of all the topics in this list, Slamfest is probably the one that you could say my viewers are the most biased towards, simply because I've been the one putting out all the content about it, and attempting to bring more attention to it over the past few years. Now, Slamfest 99 in itself has been an interesting search from beginning to current day, because of how unconventional the topic is. This isn't something that was on a VHS tape or was created by an animator at Nickelodeon. This was a real-world event that was live-streamed over the internet at a time when the internet was still new, and not a lot of people were online or followed Nintendo this closely to even be aware it was happening. And even if they were, recording software hardly existed, so there would have been no easy way to record the stream even if you knew about it. And that's why we're still searching for it almost 25 years after its original broadcast. I've been meaning to do another specific update video for this topic for a few months, but I seem to keep pushing it off because honestly, nothing meaningful has happened that warrants a big update. It would mostly just be to summarize what's been going on, which is mostly dead ends and fake leads. If you've been following the search, you would be aware that the general consensus is that the most likely way we're going to get a recording is from someone who saved it back in 1999. It's going to be a fan or someone we haven't reached yet, and doesn't even know that we're looking for it in the first place. We've come across a couple users and some evidence that suggests it could have been rebroadcast on a website called Shoutcast, so a copy could have been saved and shared around at one point. I've also heard some speculation that the video or parts of it could exist in another form, maybe in some kind of non-descriptive, funny Nintendo compilation that we wouldn't be able to find specifically from searching for Slamfest. And while neither of those ideas are particularly guaranteed, that's where the search is right now, and in either of these cases, it's probably going to come down to someone contacting us rather than us being able to contact them, because we simply don't know who, if anyone, that's out there still has a copy. And it's not impossible to get some information about it from those kinds of people, but it's just hard to predict at this point, especially when the professional places that you would expect to have it, like Nintendo or Golan, the PR company that helped run it, basically said they don't have it without saying they don't have it. Next year is Slamfest's 25th anniversary, so it would actually be very nice if it could resurface as a celebration. I'm glad that this topic is so high on the list though. It shows that there's still some interest in it, and hopefully, with more awareness, someone with legitimate information can come forward. That's the one thing that is helpful with this search. All the fake leads we've gotten were mostly goose chases that wasted time, but nothing else. There were never any false findings that we had to inspect very closely, because you can't fake Slamfest. It's such a specific production, if someone ever came forward claiming to have a recording, we'd be able to tell instantly if it was real or not. Before we get to number 1, there are a couple honorable mentions that I'd like to talk about, with one of them being pretty surprising this time. The first one, and least surprising of the two, is the Jimmy Two Shoes pilot. Well, I guess it's a little surprising for the fact that anybody remembered this topic at all, since it's so old, but I suppose revisiting it could revive some interest in it. I haven't talked about this in quite a while on my channel, mostly because there haven't been any updates with it, but this pilot was pretty much a short pitch animation that the creators of Jimmy Two Shoes showed to the investors who funded the production before it was actually picked up. But this early version hasn't been seen since the mid-2000s, and it was this version in particular that was more intense than the final show, with it taking place in hell, and a lot of the concept art material looking very graphic. There are a few screenshots we have from it, but nothing animated that has resurfaced, and the creators have confirmed the investors are the only people who would have copies of it. I did get a lead a long time ago that mentioned a couple names connected to the role of investors, but it wasn't confirmed these were actually the people we were looking for, and I never found a good way to contact them in the first place. I don't think there's really anybody else searching for this besides me though, so it's something I'll have to look into again. I'd be surprised if I ended up with a copy though, since one of the creators told me he thinks it's gone forever. However, the second topic to get an honorable mention here is the more surprising of the two to me, and that's the Sonic 1 prototype. This is a very old topic, and one that has moved down the list from number 1 last year to not even in the top 5 now. It's interesting to consider the reasons for why that is. Maybe it's the fact that there's really not anything new we can do to help the search, and also the fact that there was a new find recently, a couple new images from the Tokyo Toy Show, with the game being shown on the show floor. While the quality isn't very good, it's still something, and I guess this could have made people feel content for the time being, as it's the kind of topic where you have to take what you can get from it. As one of the first pieces of lost media I ever covered on my channel, I'd really like to see it resurface, or get a larger amount of content seen from it, but like I said before, there isn't much else we can do besides hope Sega finds it. That's been the rumored reason why it got lost to begin with, that Sega allegedly misplaced the prototype, preventing it from being released at all. Or maybe by now, it ended up in the hands of a private person, and someday it'll show up randomly, similar to how Tim Stamper had a working copy of Conker's 12 Tales this whole time. And finally, the number 1 most wanted piece of lost media for 2023 is one that I'm sure most of you saw coming. In fact, if it wasn't going to be Slamfest, this is the only other one that I could think about that has more intrigue, dedication, and hope surrounding it that people have been getting behind for longer than Slamfest. And that's none other than Me and My Friends. At this point, you're either feeling optimistic hearing that name, or you've lost all hope and it brings you despair. For me, I'm definitely more on the latter side of the scenario for the search, with it feeling more like a burden and something we failed at, even though looking back, the team, or several teams at this point, really did give it their all. The entire search of Me and My Friends is a long one, and it's a dedicated video I've been wanting to make, but every time I go to start it, it feels like there's some new development or piece to the puzzle that gets unearthed, changes the story, then leaves us back in the first place we started anyway. Essentially, Me and My Friends is the original version of the Backyardigans show on Nick Jr., with it using costumed characters and being filmed at Nickelodeon Studios Florida in 1998. This iteration was rejected, and very little of its content had been available for the longest time, with only a few screenshots and a short clip from a compilation. However, over the years, more of the crew behind its production has been contacted, and this revealed many more production secrets and content itself, including a bunch of never-before-seen pictures. So it's not like we haven't gotten anything from the search at all. However, what we're really after is a recording of the full pilot as it was originally intended to be viewed, and that's what feels like it's been a failure. Ever since the search began, we found at least one former crew member who definitely has a copy of the tape in their possession, as we've seen it before, and I've come across a few others that suggested they had copies too. But in both of these cases, conversations about the tape were dropped, and we were never able to get them ripped. Years ago, when we first began the search, I don't think anyone ever thought we could essentially find a tape of it in the wild. which is a good thing that we actually did, but the other side to that is nobody thought we would have so much trouble in getting someone to share it with us. With how close we've gotten, and the updates that have been discussed so far, one of the sentiments I saw most in reading the Twitter comments is just how close we are to finding it. People feel like any day it's just gonna show up. I wish I could be that optimistic about it, but I'm not sure if that's the case. It does feel like we're really close, but probably only because we're running out of options. It's like Slamfest in a way. We've already contacted so many people, it's going to come down to the last couple either having it or not. And then even if they do have it, again, getting them to share it is another issue. I'm not really sure where else to take the search anymore, other than making those last few contacts or starting over from scratch again. There were definitely a lot of people who were involved in making me and my friends, but the real difficulty is contacting the people that would be able to help us. In fact, the majority of contacts we've made either didn't know what we were talking about or recalled the pilot but didn't have anything from it. This includes writers, camera operators, and yes, even the company that made the costumes. None of them have a copy of the pilot that we know of, and it's been stated that only the executives even saw the final product, which could also be a reason why even finding tapes of it is so hard. Hopefully more of these topics can be found in 2024 so we can end their searches and get them off of this most wanted lost media list. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out some of my other lost media videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Finn.